Hello and welcome to the podcast. Today I am wearing my stars sweater because we are talking all things astrology. I can't not talk about this topic. So yes, we are entering eclipse season and that's going to be the topic of the next podcast for sure. But first and foremost, we need to talk about Pluto ending its transit in Capricorn. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. And it is finishing up in the next few weeks up until November 19th. Pluto is finishing up its business in Capricorn. We are never going to see Pluto in Capricorn ever again in our lifetime. And so what has Pluto been transforming in your Capricorn house placement? That's what we're going to talk about in today's podcast. I'm also going to quickly look at what is Pluto, what is Capricorn, what has it been doing for the world, let alone what has it been doing for our own personal lives, and what is the invitation in these next few weeks before Pluto fully moves into Aquarius for the Age of Aquarius once and for all. What is the great invitation from Pluto in Capricorn for all of us to step into? I know you've been feeling the call. And if you haven't, and if you don't know what Pluto has been trying to teach you in Capricorn, then you sincerely have not been doing even an ounce of self-awareness work, or you are in extreme denial and you wouldn't be listening to this podcast anyways. You know exactly, because these are the final few moments to get it right from Pluto and Capricorn. So I'm going to go through that with you. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's get our water. Let's get our start. Get your charts out if you need to. If you don't know where Capricorn falls in your own birth chart, go to a place like astro.com. There's many online resources where you can get your birth chart for free. Astro.com is my favorite. And you plug in your birth details and you'll know the house placement of Capricorn. So first of all, let's talk about Pluto. Pluto is the great transformer. People are scared of Pluto. I understand. I get it. Okay. Pluto rules Scorpio. Pluto is all about death and rebirth. It is letting it go and moving on in a big way. So for instance, it's the butterfly, right? Once you've turned into the butterfly, you can't go back to the caterpillar. You have completely transformed. You are no longer a caterpillar. You are now a butterfly. That is Pluto energy. It's also the phoenix rising from the ashes energy. So you've reached rock bottom and the only way to go is up. And so you may as well go up in beautiful form and feel my dust and my ashes, because I will be the phoenix rising from the ashes, because I have reached the rock bottom. So again, not trying to be fear-based, not trying to be fearful, not trying to be scary, but that is Pluto energy. Pluto is death and rebirth. It really, really is. This is where we are all being asked to die. A part of us has to die in order to move forward to the next stage. And the next stage is the Age of Aquarius. Pluto's moving into Aquarius once and for all. It's dipped in and out, just like Pluto has dipped in and out. When it first went into Capricorn back in 2008, it dipped in and out from Sagittarius. So it was in Sagittarius for a while, and then it dipped in and out, then finally got into Capricorn from 2008 onward. And now it's been dipping in and out of Aquarius a little bit. We've had a little taste of what Pluto and Aquarius is. But right now, as I record this, this is the last hurrah. We will never experience Pluto and Capricorn ever again in this lifetime, because Pluto moves so slowly. So this is the last hurrah of Pluto and Capricorn for all of us listening to this podcast, all of us alive today. And so what is the great lesson from Pluto in Capricorn? First of all, I'm just going to take a look at what Capricorn represents for the collective, for the world. What has Pluto been doing for the collective? Well, Capricorn represents government, structures, so buildings and institutions, institutions like the school system, institutions like the monarchy, institutions like religions. That's what Capricorn is. Capricorn is the top of the chart, of our chart. So it's the father figure, it's the boss, it's the CEO. So Pluto in Capricorn, what has it been doing? Well, governments are, if there aren't assassination attempts, then there is, people have been questioning this whole, am I left? Am I right? Am I blue? Am I red? Maybe I'm something else, all of that. People have been questioning the government systems. It doesn't matter what country you live in. I'm not American, I live in Canada. Our political system is definitely, it has been crumbling as well. So I think a lot of us have been questioning, like, why am I voting? Who am I voting for? What do I even believe in politics anymore? Whereas even before 2008, we were a little bit more, yeah, no, I know exactly. I know, it's not great. The politics of the world aren't great, but I know where I stand. And I think since 2008, so many of us are like, actually, none of it resonates with me. And who's going to step up? Because none of this works for me. I think a lot of us are feeling that. So that's just one example of how Pluto in Capricorn has been affecting the collective. So things like governments and institutions and religions, everything's been crumbling. Another big example is the child sex trafficking ring has been crumbling. That's been going on for years. And that has been a top-down government system, from powers that be, from the elite running these child sex trafficking rings. That has been crumbling with Pluto going through Capricorn. That's another great example of how the world has been affected by Pluto going through Capricorn. It's really going through the BS of the systems that are no longer working for us, whether it's politics, whether it's religions, whether it's the education system. All of those top-down elite CEO boss kind of structures have been crumbling with Pluto going through Capricorn. So that's just a look at what it's been doing for the world. But what Pluto in Capricorn has been doing for us on a personal level. Let's talk about it. I'm going to go through all of the houses and I'm going to get you to ask these questions. I want to go back to what Capricorn means. Capricorn is the goat. Truly and sincerely, it is the top of the birth chart. Capricorn, the 10th house, it rules the 10th house. It's the top of the chart. It's what everybody can see. There's no hiding what's going up in the 10th house. And that energy is seen by everything. It's your title. It's what you do out in the world. You can't hide it. Down in the 4th house, those are your emotions. You can hide those things if you want. A lot of people do hide what's going down in those houses underneath, but in that 10th house, that's what everyone can see. And that's what has been crumbling for so many of us. What are we putting out there to the world? These are the kinds of things that have been changing for so many of us since 2008. If you can think back, just even before 2008, who you used to represent yourself as. Your titles have changed from things like assistant to CEO or Ms. to Mrs. So those kinds of titles have changed on a personal level, but it's also how you conduct yourself, who you show up as. I know I certainly show up as a totally different person than I did before 2008. Now there's definitely a sense for all of us. It's more of us stepping into who we truly are, less imposter syndrome, less people pleasing. All of those kind of structures have been shattering for us on personal levels as well. So Capricorn is the goat. Capricorn is the greatest of all time. And so wherever Capricorn is in your house placement, Pluto has been encouraging us to become the goat. And as we know, goats go up a hill, right? And it might take them a while, and they climb up a mountain. And even in the most treacherous conditions, those goats are still climbing up that mountain. And metaphorically, that is what Capricorn and Pluto in Capricorn has been asking all of us. What is the mountain you've been climbing? It might have taken you since 2008. It might have been quite a journey. Those goats going up that hill might have been really feeling it. And so that's what I'm asking all of you to consider. And so again, this is not going to be a big surprise for those of you that are doing the work into self-awareness, doing the shadow work, looking at your shadows so that you can transform it into the light. This shouldn't be a surprise, right? What has been completely transforming in your life? What is the mountain you've been climbing? As the goat that you are, let's all look into that goat energy. And with Pluto and Capricorn, for each and every single one of us, Pluto has been demanding each and every single one of us to give up the victim story. Stop telling the stories. Grow the F up. And so this might sound harsh, right? But it is a harsh energy. Pluto in Capricorn has been a harsh energy for all of us since 2008. And when I go through the house placements, and I'm going to go through the area of life where each of us have been asked to grow the F up, stop the victim story, because there are no victims. I'm sorry to say, your victim story doesn't hold up with Pluto there. Okay, it's time to take full and radical responsibility for yourself in this area of your life. And so we've been feeling this. This is not a surprise. And we're given a few more little weeks until November the 19th. I'm filming this September the 9th. September the 9th. We have 2 more months as I'm filming this podcast. We have 2 more months to get it right, to be the goat, to get to the top of the mountain. Where have you been challenged to get to the top, to move that mountain? If you don't like the metaphor of climbing the mountain, then where have you had to move mountains? So moving mountains doesn't just happen. It's not like a snap your fingers energy. It's not a, oh, I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes and manifest this thing. It's going to magically show up on my front doorstep. That is not Capricorn energy. Capricorn works hard. Capricorn are the hardest workers in the zodiac, okay? So with Pluto going through Capricorn, we've talked about how it's changed our world and all the top-down structures. Yes, there's that element of Pluto going through Capricorn for all of us to observe. But Pluto in Capricorn, for each of us on an individual level, we can look at in the zodiac, in the wheel, in those 12 houses, the area of life where we have been simply forced by Pluto going through Capricorn to grow the F up and stop telling the victim stories, because nobody cares. This is harsh. And perhaps you've been dropping these harsh bombs on people around you, friends that you've been hearing this story since 2008, right? Like they keep repeating, and they're not learning the lesson. And then finally you say, as the loving friend that you are, well, it's time for you to take responsibility for this area of your life and stop complaining about it. Have any of you had those conversations since 2008 with people that you sincerely do love and respect, but you've seen it and you yourself have been doing the work? And so you know that they also have to do it, right? You can see it you can see it when it's not your own life. You can see when, especially people you know quite well. It's like, oh yeah, no, this is exactly your Pluto and Capricorn lesson. And it's time for you to take responsibility there. It's not so easy when it's you. So I'm going to help you. We're going to go through the 12 houses and for you to take some responsibility. And if you are totally on board with going, yeah, I get it. And I've been knowing that this is my big lesson since 2008. And I've been feeling it. And I've come a long way. I've been going up that mountain. I have been moving that mountain. Yes, I have been. but there still is a little bit of a wobble. There still is a little bit of, I haven't quite forgiven. I haven't quite let go. There's still a little bit of a victim story happening. No problem, I got you. It's the perfect time for shadow work. I've just done a full series on this podcast about shadow work, how to do shadow work, what it is. And I give you a step-by-step guide with this book that I've just published on Amazon. So it's the perfect time for shadow work because Pluto in Capricorn is demanding us to look at those shadows, for us to go through them so that we can get to the light. And there is light at the end of this tunnel. Pluto is the great transformer. So I have perhaps painted an extremely scary story, and you'll have to forgive me because Pluto is the death rebirth energy, and changing that way, completely dying off and changing, becoming a caterpillar or becoming a butterfly from the caterpillar is a big deal. You're a completely different person. Well, that's exactly what Pluto in Capricorn has been demanding us to do since 2008, to become that butterfly, to become that phoenix rising from the ashes, to completely transform our lives in every single way in this area of your life. So I am encouraging all of you to get out your pen and paper, get your shadow workbook, get real about the shadows, those triggers that have been on repeat since 2008, and you're finally ready for the finally letting it go, finally forgiving, finally moving on and making a big change. That's the energy from Pluto going through Capricorn. So let's go through the houses and let's ask ourselves these big questions where we've been demanded to grow the F up and take radical responsibility for ourselves and stop with the victim stories and completely change into that butterfly. So let's go through it. If Capricorn rules your first house, woo, you've been feeling it since 2008. You've probably lost a whole bunch of weight too. Like your body has completely changed. So that's, again, Capricorn first house. We're going to go from first all the way to the 12th house. And I'm going to invite you to ask yourself these questions. What has the lesson from Pluto in Capricorn been for you? So if Capricorn rules your first house, this is your body. So have you completely transformed your body? I'll bet you have. I know some Capricorn rising people who have lost a lot of weight, and kudos to them. They listen to the universe. One person in particular who's a Capricorn rising in my life doesn't even understand or care about astrology. And when I mention, oh yeah, it's Pluto going through your first, like in one ear out the other, doesn't even care, totally not in tune with astrology, but is in tune with astrology because this person has lost well over 50 pounds, completely transformed their life. Their body looks totally different. Body, mind, spirit, everything's changed. Okay. Everything has changed for this Capricorn rising person. So number one is your body. Your body has changed if Capricorn rules your first. And if you have known this since 2008 and you just haven't done the thing that you haven't been listening to your body, and you should be listening to your body. You've still got 2 months to do it. Go join the gym, get outside for a walk, smarten up your diet, whatever it is that you need to do for your body. You know what you need to do. Get into that yoga class, whatever it is you know that you need to do. You know you need to do this. That's what's so great about doing this video. At the 29th degree, 2 more months left, big lessons we've been feeling since 2008. You know exactly what you need to do. Okay, so Capricorn in the first house, definitely your body. Whole body. Okay. Yeah. Definitely body. But it's also, the first house is like your business card, I always say. So it's not your soul. It doesn't represent your life purpose, your first house. It's not those things. It's like your business card that hello, this is my name and this is what I do. So it's like who you are out in the world, what people see. So again, your body, the people see your body. People see a 50-pound weight loss. Like you can't hide that. Stuff like that, right? So you think of your business card, think of how much that business card and who you represent yourself to be out there in the big wide world, how much that has changed since 2008. And I invite you to ask yourself these questions in the next 2 months. If you are still, if you are coming to this channel going, well, I am so surprised. I haven't been listening to my body and no way, well, you're probably not listening to this podcast because you wouldn't care about a podcast like this. But if you have been in heavy denial and you know it, then I invite you to ask these questions. How have you been invited by Pluto in a big way to grow the F up when it comes to taking care of your body, when it comes to how you represent yourself out there in the world, who you show the world to be? Again, this is not your soul, but this is just who you show up as. That's first house energy all the way. So the Pluto in Capricorn has been begging and demanding you to grow the F up. Stop telling the victim story. So for instance, if you have 100 pounds to lose and your back's now killing you since 2008 and now you got a knee problem, like like whatever it is, or you've been smoking and your body's telling you to quit, but you keep telling these victim stories like, oh, I'm addicted. Like, again, I am not trying to be that. I'm not trying to invalidate your experience if you have a terrible addiction, if you haven't been able to lose the weight, but you've been in a victim story, and Pluto and Capricorn has been demanding you to shut up. And you've probably lost friends if you're continuing telling that victim story here 2 months out of Pluto ending its transit since 2000. That's like 16 years. Pluto has been in Capricorn demanding you to change for 16 years. And if you're still telling those stories, I can almost guarantee, and you have refused to change, I can almost guarantee that your friends and your family have been like leaving your life because they can't stand it anymore because you haven't been taking responsibility. So Capricorn, first house people, you've been going through it. And I can almost guarantee you look different and you show up in this world different. And congratulations to you, those of you who have been listening to Pluto and Capricorn demanding you to change. And you've still got 2 more months to make those final last changes for the last little wobbles of how you show up and how you listen to your body. Capricorn in the second house. Okay. You have been demanded to change your self-worth story, okay? Your worthiness, what you feel you are and are not worthy of, as well as what you're making, the money you're making, and it's going into your bank account. Pluto has been transforming this area of your life. It is a money house. The second house is a money house because it's the income you make. It's not the income you get up in the 8th house from a marriage or an inheritance, chunky money, I call it. The second house is what you earn. So it's what you earn and your worthiness, okay? Pluto has been demanding you to question your worth and know your worth. Okay. So if you're telling a story, I'm not worthy of a great relationship, and so I'm just going to stay in this relationship where I'm being abused, or I'm just not fulfilled. Well, it's because I'm not worthy of it. And so you've been telling these stories and you've probably been burning everyone out, and you probably don't have many friends and family left listening to this BS because you are worthy of so much more. You are worthy of the best relationships, the best of everything, whatever it is you want, whatever you want. You are worthy of it because you are born. This is your birthright. And so you've been having worthiness lessons. You've been demanded by Pluto going through your second house to change those stories of worthiness and to know your worth. And so it's probably shown up in your workplace too. And you've probably had to go to your boss and say, hey, I am doing all that overtime and I do deserve to get more money into the bank account too. So it's like the worthiness factor has been showing up for you. And if there's still a few little wobbles left in that second house, Pluto lesson in Capricorn, no problem. You've still got 2 months. So go through those shadows. That's huge shadow work, is knowing your worth and stepping into that worth and no longer telling any more victim stories about, well, it's, he hits me because of whatever. No more, like, no more. You are worthy of it all. You are worthy of the best simply because you were born. That's why you're worthy. And if you're putting in way more work and you're getting still the same low income, then you've still got 2 months to work out those wobbles because you are worthy of so much more. Capricorn in the third. Capricorn in the third. Okay, third house represents so many things. So just stick with me here. Capricorn third house basically is your communication style. So what you say, what you write, yeah, the way that you speak, the way you speak up or don't. Do you go small or do you show up? It's kind of that first house energy with third house, but third house is so many things. It's your writing. So if you've been a writer or trying to get online, because third house is like online stuff and business, small business. And if you've been trying and trying and trying, entrepreneurial things since 2008, it's time to really step up and do it even more. Third house is also your neighbors and your neighborhood. You might have had major problems with neighbors and or your neighborhood. You've probably moved to a whole new neighborhood, and you've probably changed your friendship groups within your neighborhood. Third house is also your cousins and like people that are like family. So girlfriends, friends since elementary school, high school, those kind of friends, those have completely changed. I'm sure so many of them, many of those friends that you thought would be around forever, they're gone. All that's been changing, and it's how you're showing up and how you speak. Do you get small when people gossip about you and say awful things about you? Do you get small, or do you show up for yourself and step into that? Pluto has been demanding that you grow the F up when it comes to all those things I just mentioned about the third house. And so how have you been forced to grow up, right? No more victim stories, no more gossiping. Third house is gossip. You've probably stopped gossiping. I am third house. I am a third house Capricorn person, and I really have stopped gossiping. That is something I was called to do. And yes, I did change neighborhoods. And yes, I have had neighborhood friends. And yes, I have lost a lot of friends from back in the day. So all of these things have transformed for me. And yes, maybe back closer to the 2008 mark, 2009 mark, I was stuck in some victim stories about all those things I just mentioned about all the people I lost and the neighbors and da 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 da. But boy, has my narrative changed. That's the communication, what I speak, not only what I'm thinking, but how I talk about it. And these are all blessings. The people that have left have opened new doors for the new people. The entrepreneurial projects that I've been working on since 2008 have completely transformed. And yes, they've all been online since 2008 for myself. They've completely transformed. I've still got 2 months to just keep going and get it right, get the messaging right, continue with those writing projects. That's all third house. So if you are a Scorpio rising like me, you've had Capricorn going through your third, and it's been a lot. And you know what? We're going into the fourth. Let's talk about the fourth. And we've had a little Scorpio risings like me have had a dip in and out of the fourth, so we know what this is about already. If Capricorn rules your fourth, this is your family. Your family has been completely transforming since 2008. Okay. So maybe kids have moved out of the house. Maybe you've lost parents. Maybe your sibling relationships have changed. Those kinds of things have completely changed since 2008. But also property, home, house. You probably moved, if Capricorn rules your fourth. But it's also ancestral wounds and stuff that showed up for your mom and stuff that showed up for your grandma. And are you just like them? Are you just carrying that on? Because Pluto has been demanding you to change, to once and for all heal those ancestral wounds. So Pluto in the fourth hasn't been easy for those of you that have this placement. And I'm sure your families have completely changed. Maybe you're estranged from some of your family members since 2008, and I'm sorry about that. But what are you saying? What are you being demanded to grow the F up? What are the stories you're telling? Are you taking radical responsibility? So for instance, if you have become estranged with your sister, It's probably happened to a lot of people with Capricorn in the fourth, right? So if you are estranged from your sister, what's the narrative? What are you telling people? Is it all her fault? Because if you are not taking even one iota of responsibility up until the next 2 months, and you keep telling this story of how awful your sister is, uh-oh, you are going to be demanded again by Pluto in these next 2 months to smarten that up and grow the F up. That's the energy from Pluto and Capricorn. Grow the F up, move that mountain, go up that hill, do whatever you need to do to change that. You know, and I'm not saying you need to go and if it is in fact your sister, that you need to go and make peace with her. I'm not saying that. I'm just like, you need to smarten up your story and do the shadow work. We are being demanded to do shadow work with Pluto going through Capricorn. This is not easy, especially when it's in your fourth too. That's not been easy for you. Okay, Pluto in your fifth, if Capricorn is ruling your fifth. So you might have had big changes with children because the fifth house is children. So heaven forbid, I hope something awful has not happened to your children. So maybe that has happened. Maybe you've had infertility issues since 2008. Or maybe you finally got over the infertility issues because Pluto has been demanding you to change that. And so maybe you finally did get pregnant. There's pregnancy issues, there's kids issues when it comes to the fifth. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Fifth house is also creation. So what have you been creating? Creative projects. Like, so what you were doing since 2008, maybe you were simply just knitting, you know, say you're really crafty. I'm just giving an example because crafts are extremely creative and the fifth house is creativity. So say you were only a knitter in 2008. By now, 2024, it's completely transformed. You crochet, you paint, you know, So this is the kind of energy. Have you been listening to your intuition? Because Pluto has been demanding you to change things with your children, with your fertility, pregnancies, children issues, creativity projects. That's all fifth house. Sort of a shadow side of the fifth house is gambling. So perhaps you had a gambling problem in early 2008. By now, if you've been listening to your intuition and listening to the demands of Pluto going through your fifth, you no longer have that gambling problem. So golf clubs. So that's just one little example there if you have Pluto going through your fifth. Pluto in your sixth, not an easy one, okay? Pluto going through the sixth. So if Capricorn rules your sixth, has your health completely changed? Like, woo! So here's a great example. So say in early 2008, you were diagnosed with something awful. Come 2024, you did the things, you knew exactly what you needed to do on a daily basis. You had to start exercising, you had to start eating better, you had to stop drinking, smoking, You did all the right things, and now 2024, Pluto is moving out of your sixth house because sixth house is your health house. It rules your health. And so you've completely transformed your health. That would be the best case scenario of Pluto going through your sixth. But if you are just tuning into this for whatever reason and you have zero self-awareness skills and your body has been like aching you since 2008 and just like ailment after ailment, now you have chronic health issues and maybe even chronic pain. Perhaps that's been Pluto going through your sixth, begging and pleading you to make some daily changes because the sixth house is what you do on the daily. So it's not just like what you eat or what you do to exercise. It's like, what are you doing daily? Things like meditation. Are you meditating on the daily? Because when you take care of your mind, your body follows, right? So perhaps it's been a difficult transit for you with Pluto going through your sixth, and it's completely changed your health. And also, funny enough, it's not just your health, the sixth house, and it's not just your daily habits. It's also a work, like what you do at work every day. So perhaps what you did at work, and maybe even have the same job. An example is you might even have the same job that you had in 2008, but your tasks have completely changed come 2024. So what you do on the daily at work, you might even work from home now, like which isn't a huge stretch because of what happened in 2020. But things have totally changed on the daily, what you do at work. And then the other little thing about the sixth house is it's your pets. So you might have had some serious changes with your pets, and I sure hope it's not a sad story. But just to let you know, pets is ruled by the sixth house, and perhaps you've had completely new pets come and go out of your life since 2008. Okay, does Capricorn rule your seventh house? Okay, Pluto's been going through your seventh. Oh, have you gone through a divorce? That's like first thing that comes to your mind, because seventh house is your marriage partners. It's also your business partners. It's also your best friends. So it's those people that are the closest to you. So if any of those things, business partner, spouse, best friends, if those have completely transformed, or maybe you didn't get a divorce, but your marriage looks totally different than it did in a better way. So that's another great example of what was happening in your marriage since 2008. Maybe you guys were starting to realize we better fix this. And you did, and you got the counseling and you changed the things and you did all the right things. So come 2024, with Pluto leaving your seventh house, maybe you have a totally different marriage, but it's the same marriage. If you catch my drift, you've listened to the guidance from Pluto, the demands of things need to change here. Things need to change with your business partner. Things need to change with your best friend. There's another example. Maybe you've had the same best friend since 2008. But things have totally changed. Maybe you had to put up boundaries with this best friend, and she was, receptive to that, and you guys worked through it. And maybe you guys even went to counseling, you and your best friend. And so you still have the same best friend, but it's completely different relationship. So that's seventh house, Pluto energy. Has Pluto been going through your eighth house? That is, does Capricorn rule your eighth house? Okay, well, Pluto loves the eighth house. That's where it belongs, first and foremost. But boy, it can wreak havoc there. It can just have a lot of fun in the eighth house. Eighth house is the butterfly house. So completely transformed. You are no longer the caterpillar, you are now the butterfly. The eighth house is ruled by the phoenix rising from the ashes. So have you reached rock bottom? And then there ain't nowhere else to go. Like, it's bottom. There's nowhere else. You've got to go back up. So perhaps there's been extreme transformation in your life. The eighth house is also a financial house. And so you might have had a lot of changes with your savings. This is your chunky money. So what your savings that you have with your spouse, or the money that your spouse makes, or your inheritance. Maybe you've gotten an inheritance, or there was major problems with an inheritance money. You've been maybe dealing with it since 2008. I hope not for 16 years, but maybe stuff with your money has completely transformed. Maybe you've saved a whole bunch. Maybe in 2008, that's when the market crashed, by the way, right when Pluto entered. Yes, right when Pluto entered Capricorn, the market crashed in 2008. So you might remember that little part of history. And so maybe that woke you up. If you have this eighth house placement, maybe that woke you up and said, you know what, I should start saving, because I have 0 cents in my savings account. And so maybe, just maybe, you listened to Pluto in your eighth way back in 2008. So now when you come to 2024, you got great savings. You've got savings for your kids, you've got retirement money. Maybe all that happened. Maybe that's a good case scenario. Okay. Is Pluto in your ninth? Okay. If Pluto has been ruling your ninth house, if Capricorn rules your ninth house, this is the area of your spiritual beliefs. Your spiritual belief system has completely changed. You might have left a religion. Losing My Religion by REM, a fabulous song. Maybe have you listened to that song on repeat since 2008? Maybe you lost your religion. Maybe you completely changed religions. Maybe you left religion altogether and now you're spiritual. Maybe you became an atheist. Maybe you went from atheist to born again Christian. Maybe you had a near-death experience and it completely changed your entire mindset and all of your belief systems. So you've had to complete, Pluto has demanded you to change your belief system. And if it's not spiritual and religious for you, then you just have completely different values now. And if not, you've got 2 more months to grow the F up and to stop telling the stories of maybe you've been really dogmatic, right? And Pluto has been demanding you to change. And so here's an example. I'm sure you don't feel this way if you're listening to this podcast, but if you say, if you don't believe in Jesus Christ, you are going to hell. Like maybe you have this dogmatic belief, right? That you have to believe in Jesus, right? There's no other belief system. And if you don't believe in Jesus, you're going to hell and you're a sinner, right? So you've got 2 more months to change your tune there because this has been you and you've felt it, whether or not you want to believe that, whether or not you want to admit that. You have been guided by Pluto to change your belief system. You can still believe in Jesus, right? It's not that. It's just that maybe you don't need to like force it on everyone or to give people guilt trips. So there's that big component. Ninth house is also foreigners and foreign travel in foreign countries. So it's a big, maybe you've moved to a foreign country. It's a big maybe that has happened since 2008. Or you've done a whole bunch of travel to foreign countries, or you are now married to a foreigner. A foreigner came into your life, completely changed your life. That's ninth house energy. Or, like a foreigner came into your life, completely wreaked havoc. It's like, it wasn't a good thing, came in and out of your life quickly, but it completely changed your value system. So if you're still telling a story, oh, he ruined my life, da, 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 da. If you haven't changed that, you've got 2 months to change your story about that because you need to flip that and you need to flip the story. The story is he came into my life, and because of that, I now have a stronger belief system. I now have stronger faith in myself. I now love myself more. It was a hell of a ride, and it was the wake-up call I didn't even know that I needed, but that foreigner coming into my life, or that experience that happened when I had that foreign trip, I went to that country and this horrible thing happened. I'm actually going to change that story. I'm going to flip that switch because my life is now for the better. So that is Pluto going through your 9th house. Has Pluto been going through your 10th house? Well, this is the Capricorn house. So it's like, again, I likes being here because it's ruling Capricorn. You've probably completely changed your career. You might have had a complete career shift. We're talking like you didn't see it coming. No one saw it coming. A complete career shift. You might have quit your job altogether. You might have had a complete title change from assistant to now CEO. You were like the, getting the coffees and cleaning the toilets, and now you actually run the whole place. Since 2008, things have changed, It might be that kind of thing. Those are great stories that come out of, Pluto completely changing your career house. It could also be you got married because it's a title change. So from Ms. to Mrs. So if Pluto's been going through and it also, you might have lost your dad. The 10th house is ruled by the dad. So you might have had a lot of dad issues. Maybe your dad's been sick. Maybe your dad died. It might have been that kind of energy. I hope it's not the bad stuff, but I'm just putting it out there that that's the dad house placement, whereas the 4th house is the mom placement. You might have lost your mom if Pluto was going through your 4th. Pluto going through your 11th. If Capricorn rules your 11th, your friendship circles have completely changed. You probably don't even have the same friends you had in 2008. Probably. If you do still have the same friends since 2008, then you and your friends have completely changed. So it's a good story. Everybody felt the need to change. So everybody changed their mindsets, and now your friendships are totally different, but probably you don't even have the same friends because Pluto's been demanding you to change your social circle. So there's that. But also the 11th house is all things online, social groups, social media. Maybe you've become an influencer, since 2008. You now have a career online, and it's like The 11th house is all things social media. It is all things online work. So everything might have changed online. You might have met somebody in a group and now that person is your husband. So the internet has changed your life. Social media has changed your life. Friendships have changed your life. All those things Pluto has been demanding. And if you have not changed, you have 2 more months to change those stories. If you're still whining and complaining about those friends and what those friends did to you, stop it. Stop telling those stories. And you need to flip it and you need to say things like, thank God they showed me who they truly are, because they're not my people. They've closed that door and now I'm opening the door to the new people. Or if you've had internet scams, if bad things have happened to you because of being online, if your life has changed for the worse because of what's going on in your group, in your social circles and online, you need to flip that switch. You have 2 months to stop telling those victim stories and you need to grow the F up. Whatever has happened with social media, with friendships, with groups, because the 11th house is the future. The 11th house is the greatest good for all. And you need to step into that energy. Pluto has been trying to prepare you to step into that energy of Aquarius rules the 11th house. This is that we have to prepare for the age of Aquarius. The Aquarius is the future. We need to change our mindset. And if you have the hardest time changing, shadow works help you to change. So many people do admit, like, I can't change. I have a hard time changing, and I appreciate you saying so, but you got to change. Okay. So do the shadow work. Stop telling the stories. You can do this. Okay. Final house. If Capricorn rules your 12th house, Pluto has been going through your 12th house, and this is the letting go house. This is like the last house. This is the end. So it's like the letting go, the let go, let goddess house. So you've been demanded to let things go. So if you have been refusing to forgive someone, you got 2 months to do it. No pressure. If you've been refusing to let go of a relationship that's actually killing you, and you know it, and you know this is no surprise to you, time to let go. You know what you need to let go of, right? Because Pluto has been wreaking havoc since 2008. It's all that letting go energy, and it's time to let go. It is time to end things. And also it could be an addiction. You might have been dealing with an addiction since 2008, because addictions is ruled by the 12th house, and you still got 2 months to go and get the help. You just need to make a phone call. You just need to go to that counseling office. You just need to go and get the help you need if it has to do with an addiction. And if Pluto's been going through your 12th and you're listening to this podcast, you know what you need to do. It is a letting go. The 12th house is the letting go house, and I don't need to tell you what you need to let go of. But there are some success stories coming out of the yin yang for people that have had Pluto going through the 12th, and they did quit drinking, and they did quit smoking, and they did let go of that relationship that was killing them, and they did forgive that person. That's so 12th house stuff. And they've done it, and they don't have the 2-month mark that they have to do the shadow work, and they did it, and Pluto guided them. And so women to that. So I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope I haven't come across super fear-based, not at all meaning to be like that. But this energy has been demanding each and every single one of us to grow the F up, to stop telling the victim stories, and to take radical responsibility for ourselves once and for all, wherever Capricorn is in your astrology birth chart. That's the area of life where Pluto has been trying to help you change into the butterfly. You are no longer the caterpillar. You were once the caterpillar. In early 2008, when this transit first started, when Pluto first started going through Capricorn in 2008, you were that little caterpillar. But now you are the butterfly, or you are just about to become the butterfly. And you still have some cleaning and tidying up to do, perhaps. So I hope that this podcast has encouraged all of you to get real, do the shadow work, stop telling the stories, make the big change, break the pattern of the victim story. You can do it. We've all had to do it since 2008, and we've changed our lives thanks to Pluto going through Capricorn. A it has been something. And for people with a lot of Capricorn energy, I applaud you. It has not been easy. So for all of us, I hope that we are able to take radical responsibility for ourselves, end the victim stories once and for all, so that we can enter into Pluto in Aquarius with a wide open heart, excited about the future, because Aquarius is the future. It is where we are all going. So I hope that we can all walk each other home with this message today and support one another. If you're still telling the stories, lovingly tell your friends and family it's time to end the victim story. It's time to take radical responsibility for yourself. And it's time to step into that Pluto in Aquarius energy. We are entering the age of Aquarius and everything's changing. It's the new earth. It's Eden, whatever you want to call it. We're all here to support one another. And I hope that this video has helped you on your journey. Please leave your comments and your feedback. And yes, my next podcast will be about eclipse.